Inclusive teaching, supporting all students in the college classroom. Reflections from instructors with marginalized identities.
I first became interested in how we can create inclusive and socially just learning environments as a graduate student. I found myself in classrooms that were asking me to step outside of my body and engage in learning in a way that suggested I had to leave important parts of who I am at the door. And that just wasn't working for me. And so I moved from focusing on things that were external to the classroom to thinking about what could my instructors do to better include me in the learning process. And that's what led me to explore this idea of how do we create inclusive learning environments in increasingly diverse classrooms. So when I think about some of the challenges that particularly faculty from historically marginalized groups may encounter in trying to create inclusive and socially just learning environments, there are a few things that come to mind. One, this notion that when we walk into the classroom, our bodies are immediately read based on how students perceive us, based on some of the myths and stereotypes they might have about people they associate us with. So that can be a challenge. There is a significant amount of emotional labor that goes into doing this work. I think for anyone who's going to try to create inclusive and socially just learning environments, but you add to that, particularly for historically marginalized faculty members or instructors who are already potentially engaging in a significant amount of emotional labor to navigate the academy, so that just adds to it. The real potential that creating inclusive and socially just learning environments may not be rewarded by the systems and structures that are in place to reward faculty. The understanding that students who resist may use things like course evaluations and other forms of complaint to punish faculty for not conforming to traditional ways of teaching. So there are a range of different types of challenges that faculty can face in this work. Advice I give to faculty who are experiencing resistance or challenging moments in their efforts to advance in inclusive and socially just learning environments. I always encourage folks to avoid teaching in isolation. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes we make, is we feel like what happens in our class, we have to keep in the class, and it's only our business in that regard. So I have a sort of cadre of folks, both within the institution and across the country, that I reflect on a regular basis with about what happened in class last night. I always, and I know this is a matter of resources, but I always have graduate student TAs who are with me. We think collaboratively about what we want to happen in the learning environment. We process what happened, and often these are students who took the class with me before, so they're pretty good at saying, when you tried this last year, it didn't work, might we suggest a different way of approaching something? So having resources that you can draw upon to help you think through how you want to address their resistance. Again, I think I can't overstate the importance of having your philosophy of teaching grounded and available, whether you use it as a part of your annual review process. It is something that's written and stated that you can return to, that you can share with your students, that you can share with your department chair or program chair. And it provides the philosophy and rationale for why you do the things the way you do. And then obviously, more and more across the country, we're seeing institutions that have offices of teaching and learning, centers of teaching and learning. One of the best ways to enhance your ability to be an effective instructor around creating inclusive learning environments is to take advantage of the resources that are there. There are numerous workshops, there are numerous folks available specifically with a significant amount of competence in this particular area, and accessing those resources can go a long way. I regularly contact my Office of Teaching and Learning, and I'm someone who thinks about this on a daily basis. So there's a certain amount of humility and being humble that sort of reminds you that you can't do this alone. And so drawing those resources can go a long way.
So as a deaf faculty member, one of the things I sometimes feel awkward about is the fact that I have accommodation needs that affect how the classroom needs to be set up. I used to be nervous about the fact that my disability sometimes conflicts with the experiences that other people need. And the easiest example is that when I have had a blind student in class, sometimes they have wanted the light to be dimmer because a lot of light is painful, or people who prefer fluorescent light not to be on. Almost all of my fears have never materialized in the sense of, oh, this is disastrous. It's never disastrous. It's always something that makes it easier for me to adjust and adapt the next time it comes up. A very specific way that my accommodation needs directly affect the classroom is in I've often assigned students to make a multimodal video project where they have to communicate something about what they're learning to another audience. And it can be a humorous video, or it can be a more serious, I want to present something, or a how-to, or whatever, right? But I can't understand them unless they caption them. So I build a requirement into the assignment that they caption their videos. And I think that this is great. Everybody should caption everything, right? But the truth is that most faculty don't require their students to caption the videos that they make, even when they have them as an assignment. So to some students, it feels like extra. It feels like I'm asking them to do more work. And it is still a little bit awkward because the only argument that's persuasive to students to make them actually do it is when I say, I can't grade this unless it's captioned. Unless I know what's being said, I can't put a number on this. But other arguments, in the past, when I haven't stressed that, students have just said, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to caption it, or, I hope it's okay, even though I didn't caption it. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this video that you didn't caption. So, yeah, I think a lot about how my own accommodation needs shape the classroom, but I also think that they shape the classroom in positive ways. That they do things that make it okay for students to talk about what they need, because I'm upfront about what it is that I need and why we are making these adjustments to the classroom. I'm a really big fan of disabled faculty creating classroom environments that work for them, and to feel comfortable doing that. For a long time, I felt like I was not a very good teacher because I'm not the kind of teacher who can just have a natural conversation where students just talk whenever. I have to have them raising their hands, and I call them out because I need to know who is talking at any given moment. So that I want to follow the conversation. I want to know what they're saying. And so it's very easy, I think, for people to feel like, oh, because I can't run my classroom in the way that I imagine excellent teachers all do, But I really want the classroom to be a space where the disabled faculty can, put together, and it might be material, right? It might be, I've got a computer interface that I can reliably and consistently hook up with my screen reader laptop, or I've got, a seating arrangement that I'm not going to be frustrated by, or I know how to make group work something that isn't overwhelming or terrible. So I want faculty to ask for and get their own accommodation. And I think it's useful for me as a deaf faculty member to explain those accommodations to my students. I don't think that means everyone should have. I don't think that means everyone has to disclose that they're designing the classroom in a specific way because of an accommodation need. But yes, I think we as faculty, we all have needs, and even faculty who do not have disabilities will easily be able to identify ways that they design assignments, classroom spaces, environments for learning that are about what they personally value and appreciate. You just want to be careful that your needs and your sort of requirements aren't too rigid. You want to be able to be flexible in responding to students who might ask for shifts or adjustments or changes.